Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am just Mike. You are watching and you are listening to episode number 27 of the Rock On Wild Show. I am your host, Just Mike. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below this very video. You can also like this video and spread the word. Share this video of the Rock Out Wild Show and tell everyone about the show from your family, your friends, your co-workers, and I mean everybody. As you see from the title of this very video, for the first time ever on the Rock Out Wild Show, I am going to do a tier list or two depending the time length of this episode. And the new Dexter show is coming out next month. Well, actually, as of this recording, it'll be coming out next month. This episode is recorded on June 19th, 2025, and this will be aired on July 2nd, 2025. So, in that month, the new Dexter show will be happening. So, as the days go shorter to the new show, it's another back-to-back Dexter-themed show. This time it's a tier list of I'm going to do the main villains and hopefully get into some of the characters as well. We'll see if I have time for it. Also on the docket, we're going to look at on this day for July 2nd in sports, music, film and television, and wrestling, all in that order. But to kick things off, I'm going to react to an old movie review of mine. It was uploaded in September of 2014. And that is a movie review for A Walk Among the Tombstones, starring Liam Neeson. So I am going to start the camera. Get the headphones on, obviously. And you notice that I got the camera positioned exactly where my face is instead of over there diagonally. Just something right now I'm experimenting to try things out, see how they go, and hopefully it all goes according to plan without any bumps in the road. So without further ado, I'm going to react to A Walk Among the Tombstone. So let's present, share screen. Make sure the audio is on. Perfect. A Walk Among the Tombstones, share. Let's put this full screen. And let's do this in 3, 2, 1, action. Either one of two things are going to happen when you cross Liam Neeson. One, he's either going to kill you or he's going to talk you to death on the phone. Pick your poison. I'd rather him talk to me to death on the phone because I absolutely love his voice. Just FYI. Hey, what is up, all movie fans in the movieverse? Welcome to the Mike McRock Movie Review YouTube channel. Right now, I'm going to talk about a movie, and it is called A Walk Among the Tombstones. And this movie is about a former private investigator, now retired, and he's helping out this drug dealer to help him to find out who kidnapped and killed his wife. And this movie stars Liam Neeson as that former private investigator, and I like his character. I like, he's battling demons of his own. He's an alcoholic after an event that happened 8 years ago, and now he's retired, and now he's helping this guy out, trying to track down the people who killed and kidnapped his wife. And this movie was not bad. It was not as good as I expected to be. I thought that the trailer kind of gave away a lot. So my expectations going into this movie were kind of high. So I kind of left this movie thinking, that was not bad. Not the greatest movie, but it was a good movie. What I like about this movie is that Liam Neeson is not the same guy you see in Taken or in Nonstop. He's not the guy who is hitting the bad guys left, right, and center every 5 or 10 minutes.
So it's even the movie itself. It's not an action thriller movie. It's more like a crime mystery
Right, yeah.
action thriller
A murder
movie
mystery.
with a lot more crime and investigative aspects throughout this entire film. There is a lot of talking, and it really is hard to keep track of this
Hmm.
movie. It is sometimes really hard to follow
Right.
because of the names. This guy is tied to something, and 30 minutes later, I'm trying to figure out who this guy was because his name was mentioned 30 minutes ago, and I'm really bad with names. So in that
Yeah.
sense, yeah,
Still
it
am.
is kind of hard to follow. I thought the pacing of this movie was hit and miss. I think it started off strong. It
Hmm.
kind of slowed down a lot around in the middle. It kind of slumped, trying to picking up the pace. But it did pick up the pace around in the last 20 minutes. But nothing special was really happening. It was just the pacing was really hit and miss throughout this entire movie.
Right, yeah.
And I will give props to the acting. Not only was Liam Neeson really good in this movie, but so were the villains. And there were a couple of villains who were just so creepy, and it really felt they really made you feel uncomfortable when you're watching them. They were very disturbing. Their acting was just top notch, really good in the villainous department.
I actually can't remember who the villains are, so I don't know if I'm gonna fill myself in or I'm just gonna leave it, but we'll see.
They were on a different level of creepiness that I never really seen before, and they pulled it off very well. And you had this one guy who was really smart when it comes to interacting with Liam Neeson. He was the best guy to make decisions when it comes to uh, what Liam Neeson may or may not do with the guy. I thought there was one of the drug dealers who was probably not the best actor in this movie, but there was also another guy who I thought was really funny and kind of stupid as well. So I like the creepiness of the villains, even though some of the guys in the movie were kind of just they really don't stand a chance.
Right.
I mean, this is a movie where you just automatically root for Liam Neeson, and he's the guy that will just
Obviously.
steamroll. Well, not really steamroll right through the bad guys, but you know he's going to win at the end. The
Yeah.
bad guys were just uninteresting. I thought the most interesting character was Liam Neeson, but I
Yeah.
will give a shout out to the kid in this movie, and I thought he was pretty funny. And what I like is that there's a little comedic undertone to the seriousness of this movie. I thought the movie, with the tone itself, was a
Side note, I actually can't remember who the kid was either. I just remember Liam Neeson.
little too serious, but there was an underlying comedy element to this movie. There was a good back and forth witty dialogue between Liam Neeson and this kid TJ. I thought the
Hmm.
chemistry between the two of them was really good. I just felt that coming out of this movie, it kind of felt longer than it was. And it wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be, but it was still really good. It wasn't a outstanding movie or a great movie overall, but it was a good movie. I had fun coming out watching it. So, out of 100, I would rate this movie 67 points just for the creepiness of the bad guys, the acting of Liam Neeson, and the kid TJ who kind of pops in and out every now and then. There were some scenes that were unnecessary, but overall, I really liked this movie. But in the same time, I just can't help but nitpick some of the stuff that happened in this movie.
Right.
So that's the reason why I'm giving this movie the rating that it deserves, 67 points. And if you saw A Walk Among the Tombstones, what did you think about it? Comment below, let me know.
Hmm.
You can also hit that subscribe button down below this video as well to get McRocked.
So that was my reaction to my old movie review from 2014, A Walk Among the Tombstones, starring Liam Neeson. I do recall, like I said, the only person I recall in this movie is Liam Neeson. Um, I don't remember any other actor in this. It might come back to me once if I look to see the cast of this film again. But this is also a movie I wouldn't mind watching again. I thought that was a decent score that I gave it. Yeah, not the best Liam Neeson movie, not the worst Liam Neeson movie, but it's somewhere in the middle. That's my thoughts about my take on Walk Among the Tombstone. And now let's take a look on the stuff that you look forward to, or at least I hope you look forward to. And that is on this day, for July 2nd, 2025, is the year that this episode will be up, but July 2nd is the key date. So I am going to present share screen. And let's look at sports for July 2nd in years past. So, what happened in sports on July 2nd? Well, 1902, Wimbledon women's tennis, Muriel Robb wins her only major title with a 7-5, 6-1 defeat of fellow Briton Charlotte Cooper. That's dating all the way back to 1902 right there. That is a long ass time ago. In 1903, National League MLB batting champion Ed Delante disappeared after being removed intoxicated from a train by force, found dead at bottom of Niagara Falls 2 weeks later. Holy moly. 1903, pitcher Jack Dosher debuted for Chicago Cubs, the first son of a major leaguer to play MLB, Father Herm, 1882 to 92. In 1906, Yanks win by forfeit for the first time. 1907, U.S. National Championship of Women's Tennis, Philadelphia. Evelyn Sears beats fellow American Carrie Neely 6-3 to 6 and 6-2 for her lone major singles title. In 1909, Wimbledon's women's tennis. Dora Boothby earns her only Wimbledon title with a 6-4, 4-6, 8-6 win over Angus Morton. 1911, Detroit Tigers legend Ty Cobb hits his 40th straight game in 14-6 rout of Cleveland. Streak ends next game. 1921, in boxing's first $1 million gate at $1.7 million, world heavyweight champion Jack Dempsey KOs Frenchman Georges Carpenter in round 4 of his third title defense. Crowd 91,000 at Boyle's Thirsty Acres, Jersey City. 30 acres, Jersey City. I said thirsty, write that one down. 1921, Wimbledon men's tennis. Bill Tilden beat South African Brian Norton 4-6, 2-6, 6-1, 6-0, 7-5 for the third of 10 Grand Slam singles titles. In 1926, Wimbledon men's tennis Frenchman Jean Bourtier wins his second Wimbledon singles title 8-6, 6-1, 6-3 over American Howard Kingsley. In 1927, Wimbledon's men's tennis. In an all-French final, Henri Coutier wins first 2 of 2 Wimbledon singles crowns, beats Jean Bourtier 4-6, 4-6, 6-3, 6-4, 7-5. A lot of tennis here. In 1927, Wimbledon women's tennis. Helen Willis Moody beats Spaniard Il Alvarez 6-2, 6-4 for first of 8 Wimbledon titles. I probably mispronounced a name there somewhere. In 1930, MLB Chicago White Sox outfielder Carl Reynolds becomes only the second player in MLB history to hit home runs in 3 consecutive innings in 15-4 victory at Yankee Stadium. In 1932, American golfer Walter Hagen wins his 5th and last Western Open in Cleveland 16 years after he won his first. In 1932, Wimbledon men's tennis, American Ellsworth Vines beats hometown favorite Bunny Austin 6-4, 6-2, 6-0 for his only Wimbledon title. In 1933, New York Giants pitcher Carl Hubble works 18 innings of shutout ball with a walk to beat St. Louis Cardinals 1-0. In 1935, Great Britain amateur boxing team beats United States in the first International Golden Gloves tournament in New York City, New York. In 1937, Wimbledon men's tennis. Don Budge beats Germany's Gottfried von Kram 6-3, 6-4, 6-2 for his first of back-to-back titles. In 1938, Wimbledon women's tennis. Helen Wills Moody beats Helen Jacobs 6-4, 6-0 in fourth final between the pair. Wills Moody won all four. In 1941, Joe DiMaggio hits a three-run homer of Boston's Dick Newsom to pass Willie Keeler's MLB record 44-game hitting streak. In 1948, British Open Men's Golf. Murrayfield, England's Henry Cotton wins by 5 strokes from Irishman Fred Daly for his third Open victory. In 1948, Wimbledon men's tennis. America Bob Frankfurt beats John Broomwick of Australia 7-5, 0-6, 6-2, 3-6, 7-5 for his only Grand Slam singles title. In 1949, Red Barber's Clubhouse sports show premieres on CBS, later NBC TV. In 1949, Wimbledon women's tennis. Louis Breaux beats fellow American Margaret Osborne DuPont 10-8, 1-6, and 10-8 for the second of 3 straight Wimbledon titles. In 1950, Cleveland Indians pitcher Bob Feller wins his 200th MLB game 5-3 over the Detroit Tigers. In 1951, Bill Veeck buys MLB St. Louis Browns from Bill and Charlie DeWitt after 1953 season, sells franchise to Clarence Miles, who moved team Baltimore Orioles. In 1951, Worcestershire cricket wicket keeper Hugo Yarnell makes a record 6 dumpings in an innings in a first-class match of Scotland at Dundee. Wow, that was a mouthful. In 1954, England cricket batsman Dennis Compton scores career beats 278 in 270 minutes in second test win over Pakistan at Nottingham. In 1954, Wimbledon men's tennis. Sheikh Jarzlov Dronby beats Ken Roswell of Australia 13-11, 4-6, 6-2, and 9-7 for his only Wimbledon singles title. U.S. World Women's Golf Open 1955 in Wichita, GC. Uruguayan Faye Crocker beats Louis Suggs and Mary Lena Falk by 4 to become the tournament's first overseas winner. In 1955, Wimbledon women's tennis. Louis Breaux beats fellow American Beverly Phelps 7-5, 8-6 for her 4th Wimbledon singles title. Damn, there's a lot of tennis here. In 1960, Wimbledon women's tennis. Defending champion Maria Bueno of Brazil beats South African Sandra Reynolds 8-6 and 6-0. In 1961, Amdist 5 New York Yankees homers versus Washington. Roger Maris hits 29th and 30th en route to 61 for the season. In 1963, San Francisco Giants legend Willie Mays breaks up classic Juan Marichal versus Warren Spahn pitching duel, homering in the 16th inning of Spahn for a 1-0 win versus Milwaukee Braves. In 1965, Wimbledon men's tennis. Roy Emerson scores second consecutive title win over fellow Australian Fritz Duel 6-2, 6-4, and 6-4. In 1966, West Indian cricket batsman Brazil Butcher scores career best 209, not out to guide tourists to a 139-run third test win over England at Trent Bridge. In 1966, Wimbledon women's tennis. American Billie Jean King beats Maria Bueno of Brazil 6-3, 3-6, and 6-1 for the first of her 12 Grand Slam singles titles. In 1967, U.S. Open women's golf. The Homestead. Catherine Lecotes wins by 2 strokes from Susie Maxwell and Beth Stone. Youngest at 22, first amateur winner. In 1969, Ireland cricketers dismissed West Indies for just 25. Dougie Goodwin 5 for 6, Alec O'Riordan 4 for 18 to set up a huge upset in Londonderry. In 1971, Wimbledon women's tennis in an all-Australian final, Yvonne Gulanga beats, that's a weird last name. If I mispronounce that, correct me. Will this person beat Margaret Court 6-4 and 6-1 for the first of 2 Wimbledon singles titles? Take a shot every time I say Wimbledon women's tennis. I would die right now. 1972. American pole vaulter Bob Seagren breaks world record for the fourth and final time with 5.63 meters in Eugene, Oregon. In 1972, U.S. Open Women's Golf Wingfoot GC American Susie Maxwell Burning wins by 1 from Judy Rankin, Kelly Aram, and Pam Barnett. In 1976, Wimbledon Women's Tennis American Chris Evert beats Yvonne Gulang Kawai of Australia 6-3, 4-6, and 8-6 for a second of 3 Wimbledon singles titles. In 1977, Wimbledon's men's tennis, Sweden's Bjorn Borg beats American Jimmy Connors 3-6, 6-2, 6-1, 5-7, and 6-4 for the second of 5 consecutive Wimbledon singles titles. In 1978, MLB pitcher Ron Gurundry beats Detroit 3-2 for a New York Yankee record 13-0 start to the season. In 1983, Wimbledon women's tennis, Martina Navratilova beats Andrea Jaeger 6-0, 6-3 for the fourth of 9th Wimbledon singles titles. In 1986, Boston Red Sox pitcher Roger Clemens suffers his first loss, 1 win short of AL record for consecutive wins to start season. In 87, Kansas City Royals outfielder Jim Eisenreich hits first home run since 82 in MLB comeback process and retired in 1984. In 1988, Wimbledon's women's tennis Germany's Steffi Graf beats Martina Navratilova 5-7, 6-2, and 6-1 for the third leg of her Golden Slam. In 1989, American jockey Steve Cathune wins Irish Derby on Old Vic to become the first rider in history to sweep the world's 4 major debris: Kentucky, Epsom, French, and Irish. In 1989, Canadian Open Women's Golf, Bakersfield GC Tammy Green wins her only LPGA major title with a one-shot victory over fellow Americans Pat Bradley and Betsy King. In 1989, U.S. Open Senior Men's Golf, Laurel Valley GC Orville Moody wins by 2 from Frank Beard? 20 years after his U.S. Open triumph in 1969. In 1993, Royal Stadium in Kansas City, Missouri is renamed Kauffman Stadium shortly before the death of MLB Kansas City Royals team owner Edwin Kauffman. In 1994, Middlesex cricket seam bowler Richard Johnson takes all 10 Derbyshire wickets for 45 runs at the county ground in Derby. In 1994, also, Wimbledon women's tennis, Conchia Martinez of Spain upsets Martina Navratilova 6-4, 3-6, and 6-3 for her only Grand Slam title. In 1995, LA Dodgers pitcher Hideo Nomo is first Japanese player to be selected for a MLB All-Star game when he is named in the NL squad. In 1995, U.S. Senior Open Men's Golf Congressional GC Tom Wixkoff wins by 4 strokes from Jack Nicklaus for his only Champions Tour major victory. In the year 2000, we are getting there, folks. We are getting there. UEFA European Championship final. Feyenoord Stadium, Rotterdam, Netherlands. David Trezeguet scores in extra time to give France a 2-1 win over Italy. In year 2000, U.S. Senior Open Men's Golf, Suction Valley. Hale Irwin wins by 3 strokes ahead of Bruce Fletcher for his second U.S. senior title. In 2005, Wimbledon's women's tennis, Venus Williams beats fellow American Lindsay Davenport 4-6, 7-6, 9-7 for the third of her 5 Wimbledon singles titles. In the year 2006, Michael Schumacher wins U.S. F1 Grand Prix for the 5th time, first driver in any series to win 5 races at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. In 2006, Sri Lanka's Sanath Jayasuriya 152 and Upal Tharanga 109 compile world record cricket ODI opening stand of 286 versus England at Headingley. In 2008, a settlement is reached allowing former NBA franchise, the Seattle Supersonics, to move to Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. New owner Clay Bennett agrees to pay City of Seattle $45 million to wriggle out of the last 2 years of key arena lease. In 2010, FIFA World Cup, Ghana, only African team remaining in last 8, are beaten 42 on penalties by Uruguay. Netherlands upset Brazil 2-1. In 2011, American twin brothers Bob and Mike Bryan earned the record, equaling 11th Grand Slam doubles titles to win a straight set wins over Robert Lindstedt and Hora Tiu at Wimbledon, or Tikau at Wimbledon. Again, if I mispronounce it correctly. In 2011, Wimbledon's women's tennis Czech Republic left-hander Petra Kvitova wins her first Grand Slam title, beating Maria Sharapova. So I'm trying to pronounce these correctly here. I'm reading it as I go along. In 2013, Reds pitcher Homer Bailey no-hits San Francisco Giants 3-0 in Cincinnati, his second no-hitter in 10 months. In 2014, Alex Pucco ascends top-notch in Rocky Mountain National Park, her first V13 graded boulder. In 2017, hometown underdog Jeff Horn upsets Manny Pacquiao of the Philippines on points in a highly controversial WBO welterweight title fight in Brisbane, Australia. In 2017, U.S. Senior Open Men's Golf, Salem's Kenny Perry wins by 2 strokes ahead of Kirk Triplett for his second U.S. Senior title. Also in 2017, Women's PGA Championship, Olympia Fields, American Danielle Kang scores her first professional win, 1 stroke ahead of defending champion Brooke Henderson of Canada. In 2019, newly rediscovered Lewis chess piece sells at auction for 735, I do believe, euros in London. Correct me if it's not euros, if it's something else. And in 2020, British darts organization commercial arm BDO Enterprises, the Ltd, goes to liquidation due to lack of sponsorship, oversaw original professional, semi-pro, and amateur competitions in Britain. Wow, that was a mouthful, and those are all the things that happened on this day in the world of sports. Now let's look at what happened in the world of music for July 2nd. Here we have a picture of the king of rock and roll himself, Elvis Presley. In 1956, Elvis Presley recorded one of his signature hits, Hound Dog, at New York's RCA Studios. Written by Lieber and Stoller, the song was first released in 1953 by blues star Big Mama Thornton. 2 years later, Las Vegas lounge act Freddie Bell and the Bell Boys recorded their own rendition, performing it in front of a young Elvis when he made his first trip to Sin City. The rising star was immediately taken with the song and began adding to it his set list, including 2 notorious performances on live TV. Released less than 2 weeks later, the track became his best-selling single, spending 11 weeks at the top of the Billboard Hot 100, a record-breaking streak at the time. The song also tops the country and R&B charts as well. In 1971, Freddie Mercury, Brian May, Roger Taylor, and John Deacon played their first show together as Queen. The gig at England's Surrey College will launch their legendary 20-year career. In 1969, after a nearly 3-year together, Mitch Mitchell, Noel Redding, and Jimi Hendrix went their separate ways, effectively ending the reign of Jimi Hendrix Experience. I quite say I do like that band. The split came just days after the band performed their final show together at the Denver Pop Festival. Hendrix would go on to establish the Band of Gypsies before his own untimely death in September 1970. In 1988, with the success of Dirty Diana, Michael Jackson set a new U.S. chart record, becoming the first artist to have 5 #1 singles from one album. That is no small feat there. His 7th studio LP, Bad, I should say, also produced such hits as The Way You Make Me Feel, Man in the Mirror, I Just Can't Stop Loving You, and the title track. And in 2001, Liverpool's Speaky Airport was renamed John Lennon Airport after the late Beatles co-founder, a famous Liverpudlian. If I pronounce that wrong, let me know. And let's look at some of the stuff that, birthdays in music on July 2nd. We have Tom Springfield, born in 1936 from the Springfields. Born in 37, Dee Palmer from Jethro Tull. Born on this day in 39, Paul Williams from the Temptations. Born in 1949 is Roy, the Professor Bittman from E Street Band. Born in 1952 is Gene Taylor, and in 1991, Burna Boy. And those are all the things that happened on this day in the world of music. Now let's look at what happened for on this day, for July 2nd, in film and television. In 1928, the Jenkins Television Corporation, owned by Charles Jenkins, goes on air with W3XK, the first television broadcasting station in the USA. In 1941, Noel Coward's Filthy Spirit premieres in London. In 1949, Red Barber's Clubhouse Sports Show premieres on CBS, later NBC TV. In 1951, Bob and Ray Show premiered on NBC Radio. In 1955, Lawrence Welk Show premieres on ABC. In 1958, musical drama film King Creole starring Elvis Presley, based on a novel by Harold Robbins, premieres. In 1960, Mary Rogers and Marshall Bearer's musical Once Upon a Mattress, starring Carol Burnett and directed by George Abbott, closes at St. James Theater, New York City, after 470 performances. In 1968, American jazz musician Louis Armstrong leads his all-star band in a performance at the BBC television studio in London, England. The 13-song set is broadcast in September. In 1972, American pole vaulter Bob Searigan breaks world record for the 4th and final time with the 5.63 meters in Eugene, Oregon, and I do believe I was talking about that in sports. In 1980, comedy film Airplane. Written and directed by David Zucker, Jim Abrahams, and Jerry Zucker. And starring Robert Hayes and Julie Haggerty, premieres. In 1991, Donald Trump proposes to Maria Maples and gives her a 5% carat diamond ring. If I didn't know any better, I think that's definitely an expensive ring, considering Donald Trump is a billionaire. Also in 91, the film Boys in the Hood, directed by John Singleton, starring Cuba Gooding Jr. and Ice Cube, is released. In 1995, Ringo Starr's third all-star band debuts in concert. Members include Randy Botman, Mark Farner, Billy Preston, Felix Cavalier, John Entwistle, Zach Starkey, and Mark Rivera. In 2005, Live 8 concert at Circus Maximus, Rome, Italy. Performers include Faith Hill, Tim McGraw, Spandau Ballet, Duran Duran, and Zucchero. In 2005, Live Aid concert at Hyde Park, London, England. Performers include Paul McCartney, U2, Coldplay, Elton John, Sting, Madonna, The Who, Pink Floyd, and Rapid Eye Movement. If you didn't know what REM stands for, that's what it stands for. And those are all the things that happened in film and television for July the 2nd. Now let's take a look at what happened on this day in wrestling for July 2nd. Let's see what we have here. In 2001, the main event of WWF Monday Night Raw at the Tacoma Dome in Tacoma, Washington, featured the first ever WCW match on WWF television. WCW had been bought out by WWF in March the same year. The match saw Booker T defend the WCW Championship against Buff Bagwell and is remembered for all the wrong reasons. Bagwell was wrestling his first match in months and quickly ran out of steam. The crowd was chanting "boring," as in boring, boring, and this match sucks. This match sucks. Throughout the entire thing here. And the loudest cheers came when Stone Cold Steve Austin and Kurt Angle, who were both heels at the time, attacked Booker T. It was Bagwell's once and an only WWF match and was named as the most awkward match in WWE history by WWE.com in 2013. And I'm pretty sure that's awkward for everyone. In 2002, at a taping of WWE SmackDown in Boston, Massachusetts, Edge and Hulk Hogan teamed up and defeated Billy and Chuck to win the WWE Tag Team titles. I remember that like it was yesterday. It was Hogan's only Tag Team Championship with the company, and the start of Edge's 8th reign as Tag Team title holder. That's some good trivia right there. In 2005, IWAMS No Blood, No Guts, No Glory was held at the Valparaiso National Guard Armory in Valparaiso, India. In the main event of the show, Axel Rotten, Bull Payne, Chris Hero, Corporal Robinson, and Ian Rotten won a 3-way tag team match. Tag Team War Games double cage match against BJ Whitmere, Eddie Kingston, J.C. Bailey, Mark Wolf, Steve Stone, and the team of Chandler McClure and Eric Priest, Sal Thormausley, Tank, Vito Tomaselli. In 2007, Umaga defeated Santino Marella to win the WWE Intercontinental Championship on an episode of Monday Night Raw from Dallas, Texas. It was his second time winning the title. In 2011, at the OVW Saturday Night Special in Louisville, Kentucky, Jason Wayne defeated Mike Bondo to become the OVW Heavyweight Champion. In 2016, OVW Saturday Night Special Anarchy was held in Louisville, Kentucky. Jesse Bell won a fatal 4-way match against Deonna Purrazzo, Maria James, and Scarlett to win the OVW Women's Championship. In 2017, day 2 of the NJPW G1 Special in USA was in Long Beach, California. In the main event, Kenny Omega defeated Tomohiro Ishii by pinfall to become the IWGP United States Heavyweight Champion. Also in 2017, GFW Slammiversary XP took place at Universal Studios in Orlando, Florida. And that is a look of the card of Slammiversary that year. I'll give you a little quick look. If you want to take a picture, a screenshot, or read it quickly, feel free. And I am going to jump to 2020 here. Night 2 of AEW Dynamite Fighter Fest was taped at Daly's Place in Jacksonville, Florida. It would air on July 8th. And there is a look of the match card of that show as well. And then we have some notable wrestling birthdays. Jesse Bell, who I mentioned earlier. That person was born in 85. Eric Corvus was born in 84. Scotty 2 Hottie, born July 2nd, 1973. One of my favorites, who does the worm. Joe Gomez, born on 1973. Referee Charles Robinson, born on July 2nd, 1964. Baracus was born in 1962. And the man, the myth, the legend himself, born in 1957 on July 2nd, Bret the Hitman Hart, a great Canadian icon. And those were all things that happened on this day in professional wrestling for July 2nd. And I do believe it is about that time. We are about 41 minutes in. And it is time for the main event of episode 27. Now, I think just for this episode, I am going to do a tier list for Dexter's main villains. And I found a tier list here. So what I'm going to do is present, share screen, and let's go to the tier maker that I have the tab open for. And so here's a look of the tier lists that we can do here. We got, the Dexter side villains, obviously, the characters, which has 215, and that won't take forever. There's also Dexter villains, and there's some other stuff here. The one we are going to go to covers all the main villains here, and this is Dexter's main villains. So I don't know if anyone here on the Rock and Wild Show has ever seen a tier list before, so I'll tell you how this works. So on this list, we got, so this is what it says here. Rank Brian Moser, Lila West, Miguel Parado, George King, Arthur Mitchell, Jordan Chase, Travis Marshall, Isaac Serco, Oliver Saxton, Kirk Caldwell, and Aaron Spencer from the Dexter TV series. Note, this does not include Dokes, Liddy, or LaGuerta, and will be updated when Resurrection is done airing. So this typically has 11 images and was last modified on February the 26th, 2025. And so let's take a look. So we got S, A, B, C, D, and F. And here are the villains that we have here. So these are all the main villains from every season. So from season 1, here we have Brian Moser. From season 2, Lila West. Both Miguel Parado and the Skinner are from season 3. And obviously we have the Ice Truck Killer from season 4. We have Jordan Chase from season 5. Travis Marshall from season 6. And the reason why Edward James Olmos is not an option on the main villain list here is because, spoilers here, he was not real the entire time. Just to put it out there. And sorry if I spoiled it if you haven't watched season 6 of Dexter, but that is why Travis Marshall, Colin Hicks is on this tier list. And obviously we got Isaac Serco. We got, oh boy. Oliver Saxon from season 8. And I say little boy because look out. Once I get up to him, look out. Then we got, obviously, from Dexter New Blood, Clancy Brown, who was awesome in that role. Again, I'll get to him. And then we got the main villain from Dexter Original Sin. I forget the main actor's name, but the character name is up here. Yeah. Oliver Saxon, yeah. Aaron Spencer, yeah, Aaron Spencer. So how this works, I have to drag a picture and put it in one of these slots here. So let's start with Brian Moser, who's the ice truck killer. Now, I'll actually talk about some of these villains as I go along here. To me, Brian Moser, the ice truck killer, who is, spoiler alert, Dexter's brother, I think really set the tone for what a villain on Dexter should be. I thought he was really, really good. The actor portraying Brian Moser was incredible. He was creepy. To me, Brian Moser is Dexter, but without the moral code. That's how impactful of a villain he is. So I am going to put Brian Moser not in the A section, but I'm going to scroll all the way up and I'm going to put him in the S section because I think he is above an A. I think he's one of the best villains the show has ever had. So he's an S tier. Then we got season 2's Lila West. I thought she was a really good I thought she was a really good villain. It was a good follow up from season 1. Now she didn't start off as a villain per se just yet. It was one of those things that kind of slowly progressed season 2. And what was her thing? She was an arsonist, and she was Dexter's sponsor at first. So, and she's British. And the actress portraying her, I thought was really, really good as well. I don't think now when you're comparing the villains here from every one of them, I don't think she's as good as Brian Moser, but I think she is a really strong candidate for that A slot. So Lila is going in that A. As for Jimmy Smits, who was the season villain in season 3, Jimmy Smits was excellent. He's tall, he's big, he towers over Dexter. So in a way, Dexter sort of feared him a little bit, even though you know he's going to kill him off. But just his presence, Jimmy Smith's presence, felt so powerful. You kind of fear for your life if you're face to face with him. So he is a good, strong, solid villain. Again, comparing to the best of them, I don't think he's quite there. I think they killed him off one episode too early. So with that said, I'm going to put Jimmy Smith in the B section. As for the Skinner, who was also a villain in season 3, there was nothing to this character at all. There's nothing remotely distinct about his personality. I didn't think he had a personality to begin with. The whole Skinner thing, peeling off the skin of the victims, I thought was a cool concept. But that's all it was. I'm sorry, but the Skinner is an F. The first F on this tier list. The next villain on this list is season 4's main villain, the Trinity Killer, Arthur Mitchell, played by the one, the only John Lithgow. You know what? I'm not going to say anything. I am not going to say a word because John Lithgow belongs in that S category, right next to Brian Moser. Actually, in fact, I will. I can't do that, can I? No, I can't. Both Brian Moser and Arthur Mitchell are right in that S category. So that is where he belongs. As for season five's main villain, Jordan Chase, I thought he was a good follow up to the Arthur Mitchell character. Now, granted, yeah, it was a slight step down from Arthur Mitchell because he was so fantastic. But if you look at it separately, just as a season, when you look at the guy that played Sherlock right there in that picture, John Lee Miller, you think, yeah, he could be a good villain, and I thought he was a really good villain. He belongs in the B section. That's my take. I thought he was a solid, strong villain, noteworthy of mention, and was a solid follow up to the fourth season. As for the season six main villain, uh, the Doomsday Killer, played by Colin Hanks, the only thing that I like about the main villain of season six is that it's Colin Hanks. It's an actor you know, it's a person you know. Just for the name recognition alone, there's something there. However, I feel he is slightly miscast. I didn't quite believe him as a villain. In the same time, I think he's just slightly better than season three's The Skinner. So with that said, I'm going to put the Doomsday Killer in the D section. D for Doomsday. Makes total sense. Then we got Isaac Serco, the main villain of season 7. I like how they put a little spin on what the season 7 main villain would be, and it turned out to be a stroke of genius on the writer's part. This was the best thing about season 7 was Isaac Serco. Um, I can't remember the actor's name. Someone will let me know in the comments section. But this guy was an absolute badass. That guy can go toe to toe with the best of them, and he's a Ukrainian mob guy. So, with that said, I am going to put Isaac Serco. The guy is a freaking A. He belongs in that A category. So there he is, right there in the A section, along with Lila West. Then we got Oliver Saxon from season 8. Where do I begin with this? Now, I did mention this on episode 26. The season 8 main villain was just absolutely generic to Kingdom Come. I'm sorry, but this guy sucks. And I'm not going to go any further. There's just no personality to him. There's no charisma about the actor at all. Anytime when he comes up on screen, I absolutely cringe. Evelyn Vogue was all you needed for that season. You didn't need Oliver Saxon for this. So, with that said, Oliver Saxon gets the F slot. As for Clancy Brown, playing the Dexter New Blood villain, I have to say, it's good. It was nice and refreshing to see a villain done right. Even though he was killed off an episode early, this one actually felt right because there was no other villain, like another villain that Dexter was bouncing off with, like season 3 was. Like season 3 had both Jimmy Smits and the Skinner, and I thought they killed off Jimmy Smits a little bit too early. Even though they killed off Clancy Brown's character in an episode early, this one felt a lot more satisfying than Jimmy Smits. So when you're comparing them, yeah, I think he's slightly above him. So I'm going to put Clancy Brown in the A slot. And then we got Dexter's Original Sin. The character name is up here. Aaron Spencer, yeah, Aaron Spencer. So Aaron Spencer is from Dexter Original Sin. I thought at first he was going to be like a really good guy in this. Turns out no, he was the main villain in this, and I thought it was a twist that I kind of had to adjust to. But when I think and look back on Dexter Original Sin, his I'll say this: the actor playing the main villain was good. The motivation I thought was a little weak. I'm kind of mixed with the main villain's motivation for wanting to do what he was doing, but in the same time, the actor playing the main villain I thought was done a really good job with this. I'm kind of torn on this. I'm kind of feeling mixed. It's not really and like a top tier kind of villain or a bottom tier villain. I think he's right there in the middle. So I'm going to put him in the C section. C section. Take that out of context. So that is my tier list for all the Dexter main villains. There it is right there. So tell me, what do you all think about this tier list, and how would you put the Dexter main villains in a tier list similar to this? Feel free to chime in the comment section and tell me, how would you rank? Well, you could rank them however which way you want, but as a tier list, how would you do it like this? So feel free to chime in the comment section. And that will be all for episode 27 of the Rock Out Wild Show. And I'm going to end this with a quote from Perspective of the Day. You have a beautiful heart and a precious soul that deserve only positivity and love. Letting go of negative people can be challenging, but remember, you deserve to be surrounded by those who uplift you and cherish your light. Embrace this opportunity to create space for genuine connections and nurturing relationships. As you release toxic energies, you make room for joy, peace, and prosperity to flow into your life. Believe in your worth and prioritize your well-being. You are strong, resilient, and capable of curating a circle that fuels your spirit and brings out the best in you. Trust in the process and embrace the journey ahead. This has been episode 27 of the Rock Out Wild Show, and I am your host, Just Mike. On a final note to all of you watching, get plenty of rest and always do your best.